Everybody, welcome to another episode of Jail Talk. I am your guest host for this episode, Andy Abney-Brotz, Regional Sales Manager with Turnkey Corrections, filling in for none other than your regular host, retired Sheriff Paul Laney, who is on location this week. Very excited to introduce my guest for this episode, none other than Jody Hatfield, Major Jody Hatfield of the Sandusky County Sheriff's Office in Ohio. Thank you for being willing participants of this episode, Major.
Hey, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here today, and always pleasure working with you, Andy. I appreciate it.
Good deal. Jody, you have an extensive career in military and law enforcement. First, I'd like for you to introduce yourself to our guests and just tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right. So, as you said, my name is Major Jody Hatfield. I've been here at Sandusky County Sheriff's Office for approximately 5 years now. After retiring, Sheriff Hilton asked me to come over here and work with him and help him on some things. And I eventually found my way back into the administration, back in the jail. I started years ago where I went to the military, as you had said, Andy, and I was in the Air Force where I was a law enforcement specialist. Once I got out, I was doing college to be an engineer and decided I still wanted to be a police officer. I had some family members that did it, and I wanted to follow their footsteps. I worked for a department in Ottawa County, Ohio, called Carroll Township Police Department. And it was a smaller department. We had 6 people. We full-time at one time, then we were at 5, and department size varied with part-time and everything else. We always usually had 4 or 5 part-time with that. I worked myself through the ranks. And after working through the ranks, I took over as chief in 2005. And then I ended up and retired in 2017 as chief of police after being there. And I retired the same year. I followed my military career after getting out active duty. State Army, I went to the Army National Guard. I should say I was Air Force, and followed that career through and retired both of them December 31st, 2017. So, yeah, I do have some experience with it. I'm coming up on my 31st year in law enforcement now. I'm in my 31st year in law enforcement. And when I retired, I found that I wasn't ready to retire yet. I enjoy this. This is a career that I enjoy. I like the challenges, and I wasn't ready to leave. And that's here I am today doing what I enjoy.
Well, first of all, thank you for your military experience. That's greatly appreciated to serve our country. And also thank you for your extensive law enforcement career as well. And, you must have started when you were 12 years old, because you're not that old, right?
Not too old.
So it's interesting that you came from a city PD, major ranks, made your way up to the ranks for all the way to chief. And then now you're on the corrections side. And not too many jail administrators that I know can say that. There's a lot of sheriffs that started in the jail and worked their way up to be sheriff, but not too many from the outside. So due to your extensive law enforcement on the patrol side and now being in corrections, talk to us a little bit about some of the differences that you've noticed. I'm sure there's the main differences of being a patrol car, now being in a jail, but what are some of the other differences that you've seen?
So going from a township police department to a sheriff's office is different on the political side. I answered to 3 trustees. Here, the sheriff is the elected official. So how things are handled and how things are done are totally different than what I'm used to. So that took some adjusting doing that. And what I remember is I was that guy that always let people get riled up a little bit. And I used to pull into the Sally Port, pass them off and say, good luck, see y'all later, have fun. Now that I'm on the reverse side, you see the challenges that we out on the road never knew that they had to face while they're in here. Those challenges are getting somebody processed in taking care of everything that happened out, medically, what they need, everything that goes on. So inside the jail is a totally different atmosphere of how things are accomplished and completed. The best thing to do is get people calmed down, work with them, and to get them processed through the booking and making sure that they are taken care of physically and everything else to get it done. So it is different. Like I said, once we dropped them off when I was out on the road, it was over with for us. And then here, that's just the start. And what people don't see is we may have them for a day, we may have them for 2 days, we may end up have them for years, depending on the charges, waiting for the court trials and the hearings and everything else that goes through. So, and it is different. Looking at your budget wise, coming from a chief to being back here, your budget is finding the food, the money for the food, your medical expenses, the clothing, everything that they need, we have to provide back here. So when I'm looking at funding, there's things that I have to look at that we need to lean more towards, plus by trying to keep people happy, but yet maintaining it within the budget.
Yeah.
It is an enjoyable. I enjoy it. It's a challenge. A lot of people said good luck. It's one of the toughest jobs. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably, I would say this is tougher than being the chief, than what it is, being the jail administrator is probably one of the most important jobs out there. Because not only do I have my employees that we deal with on a daily basis, I have all the inmates that are in here that put out certain demands, that I have to meet the state inspections, that I have standards that we have to follow to help them through their process while they're here. So it is a definitely challenging job, but I love it. And I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I took this chance to see this side of what happens after dealing with somebody out on the road.
Good. Being from corrections myself, I had a couple of retired city PD officers that would, want to continue law enforcement, but didn't want the high speed pace of being a patrol officer. So they would come into the jail. And it was always interesting because, never being in a patrol position myself, having someone come into the jail from patrol, they were always like, how do you deal with the situations and how do you deal with constantly being around people? And they were so used to, like you said, dropping them off and rolling back out to make the next arrest. And in corrections, you deal with individuals for sometimes years on end. But majority of our job, as we all know, is talking to the people. That's 98% of our job, is just being able to talk to people. And it was just always interesting to see that dynamic switch when they came in.
Yeah. I can tell you what I have seen, going from the PD side to the sheriff's side, speaking with people. I feel if I would have done a couple years inside the jail, learning how to deal with the individuals and talking to them to calm them down, actually, I think it's one of the biggest tools out there available. Anybody who thinks they want in law enforcement, I think a couple years in the jail would help you tremendously out on the road. Because if you can talk to them back here and learn from that, out on the road, this would have made my career probably a lot easier. Because once you're out on the road, you have to learn how to deal with that situation right then and right there. Back here, they're here all the time. You're dealing with them every day. You're dealing with the different individuals that are back here. And so you have that separation of everybody. You have all different from all over the world, from all different origins and religions and everything else. And back here, that's a daily operation for us. Out on the road, it's not. So you learn the cultures, you learn the religions, you learn everything, and you learn how to talk with them more. You earn the respect and they earn your respect. And out on the road, that's one of the biggest tools there is. If you can talk somebody out of a fight, or talk somebody out of fighting with you, or just to be able to carry a conversation with them, it is diffuses everything, and you can get down to what we need to do to correct the problem. And here, my deputies, my correction officers, they deal with that on a daily basis. And you'll see the ones that come through the ranks that are back here a couple years, when they get out on the road, it's easy for them to get out and start talking and dealing with people, and it does make it easy.
Especially when you're going to be going into an enforcement position in the area that you worked in corrections, because people that you're dealing with out on the street are the same people that you dealt with inside the jail. And just from what I've seen and heard other people talking, is that the subjects that you deal with on the street are more likely to talk to someone they're used to from being in jail, because that's what they talk to them inside of the jail, as opposed to a brand new rookie on the street that doesn't have any type of law enforcement experience. So I always thought that was a great dynamic. Corrections is, in my opinion, definitely the place that people need to start in law enforcement.
And you're right. And we experienced it the other day. I had to go out and do some shopping for the jail, pick up some items that we can get from the local Walmart that we need. And one of our inmates was in there, and everybody's like, "Aren't you afraid?" No. You know what? The gentleman come right up. "Major, how are you doing today? How's things going over there? You getting new TVs for some of the guys in there?" Yeah. Everything going good. And you develop that to be able to speak with them and talk with them, and just earn their trust, and they earn your trust that you're going to take care of them if they're here, and if you run into them, they'll take care of you. They'll sit there, they'll show you each show each other respect. And so it is a major tool, and you're going to run into people that are in here all the time while you're out and moving, and it helps, it assists.
Yeah, especially with all the scrutiny for law enforcement these days, anything can help. I know a lot of departments, state legislation are making de-escalation skills and communication, IPC or whatever, mandatory training for law enforcement, and that's, I think, is very important. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how big your jail is, where in Ohio that you're located, and how many units, what's your average daily population, et cetera.
So the jail here was built in 1988. We are located in Sandusky County, Ohio, which is the county seat is Fremont, which is where we are located, Fremont, Ohio. For those of you watching who's out, I'm sure everybody's heard of Cedar Point. We're about 30 minutes from Cedar Point is where we're located. So our average daily pop right now, like I said, we are at 88 bed facility. Unfortunately, with today's times and what most jails are seeing is the overpopulation, because we are handling the mental, the opiate, and everything else that's going right now. So right now, our last couple months, we've been right around 91, 92 is our average daily population. I think the lowest we've seen it here was for a couple of days was 87. Last week we were in the 101, 102 every day. So that's that's a problem we're seeing right now, and I think that's everybody's challenges that they're trying to deal with is the population within inside the jail.
Yeah. I saw a large increase in the last probably 10 years of my time in corrections, of a large amount of our inmate population were, had severe mental health issues, and that was due to an increase of a lot of state facilities, staffing issues, funding from the state shutting their doors, and where else best to take a person like that than to jail, and then we have to learn how to deal with that. So but it's good that you're combating that the best you can. And I've been in your facility, Major, a handful of times in the last 10 years, or I'm sorry, in the last year, probably about 10 times or more. You run a well-oiled machine. Going from jail to jail like I do now as a regional sales manager, you can walk into a facility and within the first 5 seconds understand how it's managed. What does it smell like? What does it sound like? Is it dirty, etc. And the first time I walked into your jail, even in the lobby, I didn't hear anything. It didn't smell like a jail, and all the corrections people out there will understand what I'm talking about. Well-oiled machine. So kudos to you and your command staff for running your facility the way you do.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And I tell you, that's something that I have strived at since I come back here. I was assistant jail administrator for 8 months under Major Mark Fisher, who retired. I had the opportunity to be able to come back here and work with him, who had done his whole 25 years inside the jail. I know he had done some road work prior to coming back here as a part-time officer. So I learned from him. And after learning how Mark operated things, I knew there was different things that I wanted to do to improve. So once I took full operation and he retired, we started making these changes. And at that time, I brought my assistant jail administrator in, Captain West, and we had goals that we wanted to make and meet and work our way through, and one of my things is cleanliness. I want everybody to be fair and equal, and they're inmates, but they're people. So I wanted to make changes back in here that's needed to bring us up to date to standards. So we've been currently going through quite a bit of upgrades in here. As you know, working with Turnkey, and I give a huge shout out to you, Andy, and I always do. But when I come on board here, we had a different rep, and you come aboard when I took over, and me and you have become friends. Got to know each other very well. I've become great friends with everybody there from Turnkey. And what we are doing inside here is making the changes of what's going on. And we are just bringing it up to get us to the new standards, to what society needs, to where we are today.
Okay. One of the biggest questions of any sheriff by the public and by the voters that he has to answer to is, what are you doing for recidivism? And that's one of the biggest challenges that I felt like in corrections that we were always trying to combat was, what are we trying to do to correct the behavior of the people that we have to supervise before we let them back out into society? So why don't you go ahead and talk about some of the things that you are doing there at your jail to help with that re-entry into society?
So some of the things, and I'll start from the beginning and we'll work into the programs. When I come back here, everybody offers the standard GED. We have a counselor here 5 days a week for drug and alcohol, mental assessments to help them through their challenges while they're here. But what could we do more? And I sat back and looked, and I started going to different conventions, to different conferences, getting to know the jail people, getting to know the jail administrators. And as we had talked earlier, because I come from that PD side, I didn't come from the jail side. And when I sat back and listened, and I started watching and listening to everybody, what's the first thing that we do when everybody comes in? If you're an addict can be anybody from who smokes, who drinks. You can be a Pepsi addict or a Coke addict with your pop. So what's the first thing we do? We take it all away. And then I'm going to tell you when you're going to get up in the morning. I'm going to tell you when you're going to eat, when I'm going to feed you, when I'm going to lock you down, how many channels you can watch, what you can read, and what you can do. It's a challenge today and it was a challenge for me. With 31 years in, like I said, it's a challenge for me. When you go to jail, you go to jail. And it's a punishment. But what we have to remember is they are people. We are all people. And these people who are in here have made a mistake in life. Not all of them has had the opportunity as everybody else. Not just as me, as everybody else. Some of us have better opportunities than others. We are raised in different ways and, brought up a different way. And so they don't know the difference. So we started making changes when I started dealing with you, Andy, and Turnkey. And some people are still hesitant on what to do. I remember my first big challenge when I started talking to you, I visited here in county jail. Not only do I have to look at money wise to save things and equipment, you got to look at safety also. So one of the things I noticed here is they call them breaks. And when I can tell you, when I first come here to the county, they had me work in the work program where I used to take the inmates out and watch them cut grass. And that was going to be my retirement job, watching guys cut grass and just getting them out and letting them help work time off. And I listened to them for the year that I was with them. And you hear what goes on back behind the walls. They know everything we do. They know everybody. They know when I'm not going to be there. They know when somebody's gone on vacation because they have nothing to do. And then they talked about their food. They get commissary. And you'd hear them, they'd save a garbage bag and they would take ramen noodles, pickles, meat, whatever you could, throw it in a garbage bag, found a way to hold the hot water button on, and they'd make a break. And to them, that was a treat. And they would all go in together and do it. So one of the first things I did, excuse me, was I said, what's our hot water bill and how many hot water heaters are we going through? And when you sit back and look at that, it's an amazing amount at an extreme cost. So I approached Sheriff Hilton at the time, and I talked with Major Fisher, and he says, absolutely not. And it was right before he retired. And Captain West come in, absolutely not, no way. And I said, I've done some studies and we looked out. I've never seen anybody get hurt from a microwave. So what's the harm of putting a microwave in here and letting these guys make their ramen noodles, letting them heat up something that they want to eat, that they can get out there. And you know what? It changes the whole attitude. And when I talked with you and I said, Andy, working with you in commissary and that, is that something that Turnkeys offers? And you reached right out and said, yep, we did. We put the first microwave in and you would have thought we gave them the world. That microwave is probably the most item protected back there in the blocks because people know that they can lose that opportunity if things happen back in their cell. And, to them, that was it was a reward. It was like saying, hey, we know we've done bad, but thanks for what you're doing. And during that time, I sat back and I listened and watched him go into these conferences and classes and stuff. You hear him talk about tablets. We do have video visitation. So, the family can talk to him every day now, besides just 15 minutes on a weekend. And so we had already had the video visitation and we had brought it in. And then I started talking to you about bringing in tablets. And again, you get the hesitation. And the funny thing when I really first start seeing it is when we were doing grand jury tours, which is a requirement by the state that the grand jury tours during their 3-month commitment, they come in here and they're like, they got cable TV? They do. You're giving them tablets. We are. Well, why? The answer is, why not? We all have cell phones. We all have emails. That's our form of communication. And that's what I looked at as we're using it. I mean, there's a lot of advances and advantages by using that. We use it for our mail now, so they no longer get physical mail. So on the security side, it took away from, and Andy, you've seen it through the years, how they get creative on sending things through the mail. So, now they get all their mail on their tablets. They can text back and forth. They had those things while they were out. And like I said, an addict, if we take everything away, it's going to make it harder on you. And then it's harder for us dealing with you because we're taking everything away from you. So give them something. Don't take it all at once, because how am I going to work on the correction side? Where we are at corrections, we are supposed to be correcting the attitude like you got corrected when you were a child by your parents. if we take everything away from you. There's rules that they have to follow. But you also got to be able to give them the rewards with that rule. So if you give them a little something, they actually respond better and they want to listen because they know if they don't follow these rules, just like I do with our grandchildren or my kids do with their children, if the children don't listen, we take it away. We take their tablet away that they can sit down and watch games or TVs. We take things away from them. So if you give it to them, it's just another tool to say, hey, if you do this, this is what you get. This is what you're going to do. So with that, we started offering that, and we're still looking at changes. We're looking at adding vending machines. So the commissary is available when they run out. It's here for them. They can buy more stuff while they're in there. Their ramen noodles, which is the biggest seller for everybody. They can get those things, and it just helps it, and it makes it easier on the staff and everybody because we're not taking everything from them at once. So then with that, and I'll lead into where I'm going, we had programs called Pathway. Pathway was a program that was a grant that was offered to help them learn how to do a savings account, a checking book, how to write a resume and stuff like that. But it was a grant that unfortunately grants go away or they pull them if they don't think it's working. And there's a lot of restrictions when it comes with a grant. So during the National Sheriff's Association, Sheriff Hilton written to several individuals who worked for NSA who had the opportunity. Let me get a drink here, Andy. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
To talk about a program called Ignite. And the sheriff went, he listened, and he didn't really understand what it was. So he come to me, Captain West and Chief Deputy Hastings, and said, I want you guys to go to Flint, Michigan, and you're going to see this program. I really still don't understand it, but I want you to go. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. So we looked at it as an opportunity to get away. Even though it was Flint, Michigan, not a lot to do in Flint, Michigan. We looked at it as a way, hey, we're getting away for 2 days from work. We're out of the office. We get a little break. Sheriff gets to buy me a meal, and let's see what happens. We went down there, and I had the opportunity of meeting Major Gold, Sheriff Swanson, and some of their staff, Deputy Warden. And they are the founders of Ignite. They started Ignite. And what is Ignite? Ignite is teaching people to reintegrate back into society. And with that, it's basically what we have to remember is when they walk out the door, they're going back into the community. And Andy, as you know, from when you were jail administrator and everything, when it comes to their time to get out, 12:30 at night, we push them out the door. Well, I don't have nobody to pick me up. It's not our problem. Bye. You're out the door. You're out. Your time's up. We're done with you. What happens? They usually go back to their old ways because we just kick them out the door. We didn't give them anything. We gave them what they come in with. That's it. So Ignite is a program where how we're using it and dealing with it is we've based a lot of it off of the mental health and the addiction. But with that, because a lot of people will come in here thinking that I don't have a problem. Addiction is a mental health problem. So daily, we have a coordinator, Carly Fairbanks, who directs our Ignite program. She has reached out to the community, which are all volunteers, and they volunteer to come in here and teach courses, simple courses, how to correct your credit while you're in here. A lot of people don't think of that. You get thrown in here for 6 months. What aren't you paying? Bills, rent, power payments, phone payments, electric payments, water payment. You're not paying any of that. And then we just push you back out. So it ruins your credit. So bank will come in and tell them, here's what you need to do to get your credit back. Some of them just never balanced a checkbook or a savings account because they've never had it. They offer a 1-day, 2-day class on how to balance a checkbook, or how to create the savings account to start earning that money, to save money. We are working with our local iron workers, have come in. They are now working with people who sign up for the program to start being able to enter into their apprenticeship program. And iron workers, I mean, when you look at the union labor like that, they're as short-staffed as we are. Everybody's short-staffed right now. You have the opportunity to a huge and wide opening. The pay is wonderful. It's hard work, but some of these people have never been offered that opportunity to look at it or ever think they would have an opportunity to do a job like that. So the program is based off of, we need to help the individuals, not the inmate, the individuals, to reintegrate back into society and give them the opportunity to make that decision that they can do better. And just the little things in life. And the one thing that sat with me when I was with Sheriff Swanson in Flint, Michigan, if you ever get to watch him talk, I know he's been on one of the jail talks. The guy will wear you out. He is so energetic. He's so full, and he's like that 24/7. He never slows down. And I've had the opportunity to be with him at conferences in Flint, Michigan, a couple of times at his facility. And he's a caring person, and he cares about his community. He cares about what is going on in his community, and he wants to make it better. And he said to me when we were there the one day, he goes, these people have simply, some of them have never been told, thank you. And when you sit back and you look at that and you're like, wow, really? And I'm like, come on, never been, everybody's said thank you or something. And he goes, try it once, just try it once. I come back and we have trustees that help get the trays ready. To pass out meals, who pick up the garbage, who clean the inside of the jail to help them earn extra days off. I went in the kitchen the one day and they're all standing there in the food line, and the cooks are all putting everything in and they're stacking the trays. And I just looked and I said, hey, thank you for what you're doing. And they all stopped and looked at me like, what did he just say? What did the guy who's telling us what to do just say to us? And and the one gentleman stumbled his tray and sort of dropped it back down. And I said, thanks. And then I looked over at the supervisor in the kitchen. I said, you know what? Make sure they get some extra food. Make sure they get some extra drink if they want it. And it's for me. Make sure it's done. And to them, that meant the world, because I took that 2 minutes out of my time to say thank you. That's when I knew this program Ignite was going to work, because we are giving them that opportunity. So with that, we have worked with Turnkey, who we reached out to and we said, we're going to do this. And I will tell you, when we were there and we got there, we arrived in the morning at Flint, Michigan at Genesee County Jail. And when we were there, we were like, yeah, we don't know why we're here. We'll listen to the speech and we'll move on. After we listened to Sheriff Swanson have a little meeting with us and talk with us, we went off and they started taking us to where the programs were working. And when you can walk in a jail facility, and Andy, and you know it, and every other jail administrator is out there. If I walk in the back, the big story is Major Fisher. When I come back here, I said, I'm going to be that guy. I want to be that personal jail administrator who can walk in the back, sit down and talk to everybody to try to figure out problems. We got a grievance the one day. Inmate filed a complaint. I said, I'll handle this. And he goes, okay. And I said, I'm going to go back and talk to him. And he just said, see you later. I had no idea that about 3 hours later, that it would take me just to get my way back to my office. Because in their eyes, where I'm at, I'm the guy that can fix their problem of what they see back there. So when we went to Genesee County, we walked in the first jail in the first block that they were doing a virtual reality. And they were learning how to weld on a big screen TV. And, you know, they're all sitting in a chair. And normally when you walk in, everybody turns and looks at you. Who's here? Why is the big people here? What's going on? Nobody turned around and looked at us. Not a soul. They all focused on the gentleman who was learning how to weld. And they were telling him and cheering him on of what he needed to do. They were helping him. We were in that block for 5 to 10 minutes. By this time, I'm talking to Major Gold, and I can't shut up because I'm like, if I walked back in my facility, it'd be a nightmare for me. And I mean, I walked back there, but it's still, everybody wants questions that they want answered. They need this, they need that. Can we have this? Can we have that? They're focused on supporting that individual who is trying to learn something he's never done before in his life, because they're going to be that person up there doing it. We walked out. We went to the next class. We walked into the female barracks. They had a teacher in there. They were all on Chromebooks, and we're looking around. We walked in. You could hear a pin drop. Not a one person stopped working. Not a one person come over to the major, who's Genesee County's jail administrator. Major Gold is. At the time he was. Not a one of them come over and started, hey, can we get pop? Hey, can we do this? Can we get that? Hey, I don't like my mattress. Hey, I want an extra blanket. One individual walked over while we were standing there and said, hey, I'm having problems with my computer. Can somebody show me this? That was it. Because they wanted to learn. They wanted to know. They're working for a goal. We left there and go to another class. Professor Jackson is her name. She works on mental health and physical fitness, I guess is how you would explain it. She works for Michigan State University in a branch over there, right outside of Flint, Michigan. And you look over and the deputies are taking notes of what she's writing along with the inmates. And she's teaching them, and they're allowing her to bring a skillet in, and she's cooking food. And she's like, all right, when you get out, eating is just as important as everything else, because the eating helps your body, how it functions. It helps you sleep better. You eat properly, you sleep better, you think better, you have more energy, you have this. Everybody was sitting there taking notes. And then they were asking questions. Well, hold it, what was that? I missed that. Again, nobody knew we were there. They didn't care we were there. They wanted to learn. But then the biggest eye opener is when we went to the graduation. And the third Wednesday of every month, they hold a graduation. And we were guests there. We got to sit up front. We sat up front next to Sheriff Swanson. We've met some wonderful people that work with him that had done 29 years in jail for prison that he ran back into, who he dealt with when he was a road deputy and is now one of his employees pushing the Ignite system, working with the Ignite system. And, to watch, some of them knew they were never really coming back out into society. They were still going away. They were going away for years. But to watch them walk up to get a simple certificate to say, I attended Professor Jackson's class to learn how to properly eat for my mental health and my physical health to assist me through life. was one of the biggest rewards for them, wearing a cap and gown. And you know what? Every single one of them that walked up for the different class that day, not a single inmate didn't sit there and clap and cheer. There were people crying. They were happy. They allowed the family to come in the background, the set. The family, you could hear screaming and yelling in the back and cheering them on. And that to me said, we have to make changes. And what I said from the beginning when I come back here, we have to make that change. We have to bring people back. We have to realize they are individuals. We've all made mistakes in life. There's not a single innocent soul out there. Some are worse than others, but we've all made mistakes. So how are we going to do it? And we come back to Sheriff Hilton, and as he says, we're all like a bunch of little kids in class, just all excited that everything that just went on, and we didn't stop talking for hours. And we had our, you got invited down, and we were glad to see Turnkey here and Melissa and Kylie. And, you know, you come down and you see and you feel that excitement when we did our ribbon cutting for the program. So we've been into the program now for 2 weeks, and it's slowly starting to pick up where they are signing up for classes. I can tell you our GED program, the most I ever seen in it at one time is 2. As of right now, we have 14 people signed up for GED.
Wow.
Just because we started it this way. What do we do for them? To get them, to help them? What's the best thing to do? Give them a little reward. So we sit down with Carly. She bought pop. They don't get pop back here. You give somebody a pop. Hey, you did great in class today. You guys were great in class. You all get a pop today. To them, that's huge. To us, it's nothing. To them, that's huge. It's an honor to have it. Hey, you guys get to stay out tonight till 10 o'clock and get on your tablets while everybody else locks down at 8. That 2 extra hours to them, setting out away from everybody, out in that day room, watching TV, talking to their family, doing what they want to do, is huge. So what does that do? Well, you're rewarding them. Reward is good behavior. And with that, you see the violence go down. You see the respect come up for each other. You don't have the arguments going on within, because again, we can take away, but you can earn more. So, you know, working with Turnkey, like we have talked, you guys, Turnkey put in internet for us to run our Chromebooks. We said, hey, we don't have the money for this. Our mental health for Murcia, who runs the director of mental health, they stood up and gave us a large sum of money that we were able to go out and buy 20 Chromebooks right away to help these people start now doing their education, getting what they want to do, getting that help to give them the opportunity when they get out of here. We're not pushing them back to somebody else's couch. We're not pushing them out with nothing. We're giving them a tool where they can get out and work. And, you know, so we're working with, it's called Safe Serve, I believe is what it's called, where they can actually get a certificate to go right in and start working in food management and stuff like that. They will actually have a certificate for that. And there's a couple other bigger programs that are going through with it. I know it used to be called WSOS here. It's now called GLAB, which is Assistance for Housing. So they're starting to come in now. So if somebody's in here, we know they're getting out in the next couple of months, but they have no house, they have no apartment, they have no place to go. They will actually help them. They will help them get their bills caught back up. If they own a house, they'll help them get back on their feet to where they need to be to get out there and get that job. And I can tell you the biggest heart, we thought our staff is going to be really tough to convert to this way. I can tell you it's not. Actually, it made their job easier Their toughest job now is getting a teacher back from block to block to block. But what they found is our grievances have already, in 2 weeks, our grievances are already plummeted in numbers. Our complaints have plummeted in numbers. I think our biggest complaint is we don't have enough tablets, which we're working on, you know, because they want to be able to get that reward more. We want more of these tablets so we can get that reward, so we can get out and we can do this, you know. So there's different things we're looking at doing with them. And, you know, our sheriff has really jumped up to this. I had the opportunity. He got me on with his contacts through NSA and then taking me around to NSA. I got on the national board now for the National Sheriff's Association for Ignite. I'm on an advisory board, and he's a member of a couple other boards now with the NSA, and he's getting his contacts in DC and everything else. And our representative now, Representative Click, was here at our ribbon cutting. He's already reaching out so we can try to find funding to help keep this going. Because right now it's all volunteer. It's trying to find the money, and nothing's come out of our pocket so far. I mean, it's been all donations. You know, so I feel that this program is going to be great, and the sheriff feels that this program is going to be great, and this program is huge for the sheriff and for me. And the sheriff has realized that we do turn these people back out there, and he had to make a choice to see what we could do to better it in here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, obviously, you've done a lot of things before Ignite to improve the inmates' morale in the jail. You know, microwaves, introducing more technology for them to be able to communicate with their family and friends better. But the Ignite program is just going to take that over the top. And when Turnkey was invited up by you to be a part of the open house and ribbon cutting, you know, I've been a part of some press conferences, you know, in my years of law enforcement, and usually you have a couple local newspaper reporters and maybe you know, a news camera. But man, I tell you, when we walked into your multi-purpose room inside of the jail, and you know, you had decorations, you had wall graphics, you had balloons, and just the amount of people that were there. You know, other sheriffs, other jail administrators from Ohio, representatives, county commissioners. I mean, that's a huge deal. And also, too, to be the first jail in Ohio to start the Ignite program, you guys are the pioneers in your state. And I think that's, you know, not rewarding just for the inmates, but rewarding for you and your employees as well. So kudos to you, kudos to Sheriff Hilton for implementing the Ignite program.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know right now, I believe the total number right now, Andy, and I'm not going to be, I wouldn't hold. I believe we are the 7th jail to start this US wide. There might be a couple more, but I believe it's a total of 7. So what's big with us, and the thing that's different for us, is we are the smallest jail to initiate this program. Collin County, Texas, huge jail, which is Dallas Fort Worth. They are one of the biggest. They initiated the program. I believe they're offering truck driver school and barber school and everything in their program. Flint County, or Genesee County, I keep saying Flint, it's Flint, Michigan, Genesee County. Their facility is right at 700 and something. So all the jails that currently are doing this are the 300s and up. So to be that small jail, and, you know, everybody says, well, my jail is only 50 people. I can't do it. Well, you're wrong. We're 88 with an average daily population of 90. We're doing it. So you can gear it. You can go out. And as we say now, if you want to see how we're doing it, there's any administrators out there listening or sheriffs listening today, and you want to come out and see this, you're more than welcome. Our sheriff will open the doors with open arms, and I'll open the jail up and show you what we're doing and how we're getting it to work. The biggest thing is you've got to step out of your comfort zone with it. That's the biggest thing, because we're not used to it. And like I said, I thought that was going to be our toughest thing. And when we sat down with the sheriff, there was a lot of things we were hesitant on, and that by working with you, trying to get the tablets in here and the microwaves in here and now the vending machines and everything else. We're like, no, we're not going to do that. And now that we've done it, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the negative on anything yet. I've only seen the positive. And you hate to talk like it this way, but commissary is what funds me to get the individuals what they need. And when you loosen up your thoughts and how you feel and how you think they should be treated, and you give them that opportunity and you offer those things, not only does it help you for the assaults, for everything else, monetary reasons, it helps supply for the jail even more. So the things where we had cut on before, we can actually increase the quality besides just not the quantity. So before we bought the $4 shoes, the last couple months, you might be able to get a better quality shoe that somebody ain't gonna complain about, or a heavier blanket, or little things like that. And when you offer those little things, they're still inside here. They're still being corrected. But again, they're humans. They're individuals. And that's how you have to take the whole thing. They're individuals. And once you can get yourself past that, once you can pass that threshold, it makes your life so much simple. It makes the jail so much simpler. The hardest part is now we figured this out. Now it's trying to keep my staff up, because we all know we're in that time of the year for some reason. Law enforcement's got a bad name. We're not all bad.
Right.
Again, there's all bad individuals in every career. So it's trying to get those people back in here to work with us.
Yeah.
And I can do that by also offering this, because where before it wasn't the best place to work back in here. Now, if you can come back in here and they're willing to talk with you, they're willing to work with you. The individuals want to be there. They want to help because they want to learn. They want to do this. They want to do that. The jail is a great place to work. And so if I can make it a little easier on my deputies, my corrections officers, my nurses, my kitchen staff, hopefully that will keep my longevity and people wanting to come in the door besides walk out the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And that word will get out too, that you guys are doing great things there. It's a safe place to work. I think it's some of the things that people are afraid of when going into a jail is not safe. But what you find is, facilities like yourself that are well managed, have a sheriff that care, it is a very safe place to work. Major, in closing, as we start to wrap down this interview, is there anything you'd like to add to our viewers that we haven't touched on?
First thing, I am going to give a shout out to Turnkey. They are great. If you're looking for a commissary and you are not working with Turnkey, you need to reach out and talk to them. They have been probably one of my biggest assets that I have in this jail today. If I reach out and say, hey, I'm looking at this, or I need this, or I need that, Turnkey has always stepped up for me. And I would tell you, I've talked to other facilities. There's numerous commissaries out there, but Turnkey has given us an opportunity, and they have stepped up. And when we ask for something, you guys have always provided for us. So if you're listening and you're not with them, you should talk to them, because they definitely will help you out. I'm not saying all the other ones are bad, but personally, I look at Turnkey as working with family and friends anymore, because your attitude, Andy, with us and everything else is a one-on-one. It's all about customer care, and we are customers. And you call me, I don't have to call you unless I say, hey, Andy, can we get some more of these or that? And within minutes, you're calling me back with answers and whatever I need. And that is huge to me. And as I said before, our sheriff is willing to open our doors to anybody who wants to come and visit to see the programs we're doing. If anybody's got questions or needs answers or anything, I mean, feel free to reach out to us. And I can get that information to you and Andy. They know how to get a hold of the talk show. And they can feel free to reach out to me, and I'll help anybody in any way we can.
All right. Well, thanks, Major. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode, but greatly appreciate you guys. And you guys are great to work with as well. It makes our job as providers a lot easier when we're trying to implement things. And for those of you out there, feel free to reach out to Major Hatfield. We'll try to put his contact information in the comments section below. And if you like what you've seen here on Jail Talk, please subscribe, like, and give us a thumbs up, and hopefully become part of the Jail Talk family. Again, Major, thank you for your time. It's always greatly appreciated, my friend. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Good talking with you, Andy.
All right.
Bye.